Hello, good to see you. How you doing?
Good. Yes. Very.
Yeah, excellent. All right, good. So I thought it'd be productive to maybe have a little time talking about, part of the sort of evolution of CareTech Guide, the team, and us as co-founders, and sort of how that's kind of evolved and developed. So if you'll indulge me, just talk a little bit about that. So I mean, obviously, we had our first couple of years where we were fairly clear about the concept, weren't we? And so, right, we're onto an idea. We think we roughly know what the problem is and what the solution is. And then we sort of hit this point, almost a sort of point of inflation. So can I bring you in here?
Yeah. I mean, the simple way to put it is it's where we realise that our differences as kind of thinkers made us kind of want different things for what CareTech Guide was. So I am very kind of the academic end. I'm kind of get to the point, get it done. I just want to kind of grow things effectively, quickly, and I want to kind of see progress. Whereas what I learned from you, feel free to correct me, was you're more focused on the really deep level of thinking, so that you have complete assurance that your next step is the right step.
Yeah.
And that was kind of where the headbutting first came in. Like, right, I was sitting there going, we know what we've got to do. I've got some demos here. Let's just make the thing. We've got all kinds of new entrants into the market.
Yeah.
This was pre
Right. Yeah, that's right.
and kind of during COVID, things were all starting to kick off. And I was like, if we don't put something out, even if it's 60% there, I'd rather be 60% and on the market than wait until we are right and ready and perfect and enter the market and miss out and kind of lose out. I think there was a real kind of tussle of opinions, because actually, if you look at all the big tech groups, you'll see that they've both done different versions. Some have spent years, and got Steve Jobs spent weeks choosing the specific color he wanted to go for, which is a very kind of Liam approach. And then you've got some of these kind of modern tech bros that are like getting funding for ideas that only made a PowerPoint about, which is very much kind of more my end of like, let's get started, let's kind of develop as we go. And I think that was where we kind of first recognized that our thinking was starting to impact our decision making on how to actually make this happen.
I remember that really, really clearly, and I think it's been a sort of a maturing for me. I think because it's moving away from that sort of right or wrong to actually two equally valid views. And in time, we've kind of sort of embraced both of those sort of viewpoints. And I think it's not been inevitable. It's been 5 years from our first conversation to we've recently launched. We've got a board of 6 people. But I feel I've grown a lot from getting to know you, and and hopefully,
certainly. I mean, that 5 years. When we first connected, my wife was like 4 months pregnant. That child is now in reception, having her like picture taken at her first school day today. So like, I've really physically seen that time develop and go. And I think one of the main things that I learned from you is that this issue, whilst the solution seems simple, to do it right takes a lot of thought because it's such a complex sector. And in my naivety, because I was newer to the sector, I thought, oh, well, we compare the market website up and stick some phone numbers and stick some pictures. We can get this done. I can make it myself. But actually, one of the first things that we did start to do was I started to make these kind of weird little free and paid for web apps. I think from that side, we started to see, okay, we can start to show people what it might look like. But what you were saying is it's not as simple as what we're putting together. It's not as simple as these demos. There's a lot more thinking. I remember there was like a point where we had a proper argument, probably one of the only real proper arguments. I was standing in the kitchen with my wife, who by then I also had a 1-year-old, so I was already slightly losing the plot. But I remember my wife saying, look, you've got 2 options here. You either keep butting heads and then you'll both fall out and then hate each other and it'll fight. Or one of you has to choose to take the lead of the other. And my wife said to me, you don't know this sector. So I think you just need to give it 6 months. And if it still feels like this, then separate. But rather than separate, let's just take some time and kind of listen and see where it goes. And actually, over that time, I started to recognize that listening to the sector was not an annoying little extra job just to kind of, because you were scared. It was actually about making sure what we had really fit the purposes of all the stakeholders. And for me, it was a learning curve. Actually, this sector is not a simple one.
Yeah.
This is not a one size fits all sector.
Absolutely. And I'm grateful to you for, oddly enough, a sort of catalyst for my own growth to sort of get past myself, get past whether it's a sort of I'm right, you're wrong, sort of duality to actually you're right and I'm right. You've just got to work out how it fits together.
Totally. I think it's about that. It's like, the right leg can walk, the left leg can walk, but they can't both walk at the same time. You have to kind of go, right, your turn, my turn. And there've been times where I've had to take the back seat and kind of let some other things progress. I'm sure there've been times where you kind of thought, actually, he's got a point here. Let's accelerate that part, and then we kind of move. I think it's been seeing, as you say, it's not oppositional. It's about partnership working, and it's about taking each other's ideas and recognizing when actually there's some value in the other person's thought.
Yeah, completely. It's certainly been sort of, for me, moments of brilliance from you. And it's just like, watching. It's like anytime now, there could be some brilliance that comes.
Over 5 years, there won't be that many moments of brilliance from me, but a few moments.
Yeah.
And I think, the next stage, of course, was, there was our relationship, and we kind of reached a point where we thought, okay, we know how we work together. We get our strengths and weaknesses. We get how to work together.
Yeah.
Come up with a rhythm.
We're kind of like,
we know our places. We know how to critique each other without sending the other person over the edge. We get each other.
Yeah.
Then we kind of realized, we can't just do it. And so then we kind of had to bring in more people into the pot.
Yeah, that's right.
Which kind of set up a whole other load of kind of dynamic.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, things got interesting. We had Andrea Fetcher help us with the loan. She just believed in what we were doing, which was just amazingly generous. And then, as we talked about in another video, Daniel Casson just loved what we were doing and said, I want to be part of it. How do I become part of it? And
I remember you thought of me going, I've got some really exciting news. And I, being someone with by then a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, I was hoping you were saying, guess what, Louie? Someone's offers us the £100 million for the idea. All of your problems are solved.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, he's really excited about whatever this is. And you said, Daniel Caston is really keen to be involved. And I didn't know that much about who Daniel was, but I could tell from your elevated voice that this meant something. And it meant that what we were doing was about to go to the next level.
Yeah, exactly. And I took it as a sign because, Daniel Casson, hugely respected voice, hugely influential in the sector. And I took it as a sort of sign that we were moving towards something that had value. We were so fortunate from that, that sort of Katie Thorne wanted to formally join. Katie Thorne, a force of nature, massive influence in this area. And then we're absolutely elated. So we've gone from sort of 2 to 4.
Yes.
We're kind of happy. We've got our sort of extended family. We can take on the world. And then we came to the care show. We were having the website being built. We, adjusted from going from 2 to 4. Understanding the different communication styles of our sort of two people that joined us. Our 2 partners. And then we thought we had enough.
Yeah,
we thought we had enough. And then we had that feedback from the Care Innovation Challenge process. Some people talked to us and said, guys, strong concept, but technically, where's your expertise? Why should we listen to you?
Who's going to make this website? Even with your development partner that you have, do you really know how to create something like Care Guide?
Yeah.
You know what it needs to do? What it needs to meet? The problems that solve.
Yeah.
Do you know how to really effectively bring it to fruition? And I think we both secretly thought if we found a good development partner, they'll just do it. And we can just kind of think about it, and then we'll just get an email going, hey, it's done. And we were very wrong about it.
Yeah, we really were.
That led us to Blythe and Garai, who were able to take over and certainly take over from some of my parts around kind of the CTO.
That's right.
Yeah. And prior to that, I'd done 4 or 5 different versions of the site. Literally, the first version was using PowerPoint. Then I was using like site builders like Wix. Then we got kind of a front end developer that create all of our little demo versions. Then we've used those to find a partner that would create the real thing. But then there was this missing piece of like, how do we make the real thing exactly what's needed? And that's where Garen and Blythe stood in and just turbocharged.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it was another big learning to realize that what we had wasn't sufficient, and then to re-look at it again.
Really, in that moment, you were having what I'd had after 2 years. So in my first year, I was like, right, we're done. We've got it. It's
Yeah.
sorted. And you were saying, no, there's more to be done. And then when
Yeah.
we got to that point, we were both saying, right, it's done. It's sorted.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
thought it was done and sorted.
Yeah,
And then Blythe and Geraint were basically doing what you'd done to me earlier, going, no, it's still not
yeah,
ready yet.
yeah,
There's
yeah, yeah,
still more that we need to work on.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
And I think that last bit, it's been a really intense 12 months. I mean, literally started pretty much 12 months ago.
Yeah, and I mean, I think when we started out working with Geraint and Blythe, extraordinary individuals with deep experience, beautiful people, and a meeting of minds, truly. But a bit like any relationship, you sort of, you start good and you are good, but then it's that sort of storming, forming, performing, whatever it might be. So you get a bit deeper, and it's like, okay, well, those guys were going to build their own site.
Yeah.
We've got a concept. Well, I'm a care provider. They're more experienced. So how do we kind of blend their ideas with our ideas? When do I say yes to Geraint, and when do I have the lead? And so that bit was quite complex, but there was a lot of goodwill there, and the intent was something good for the sector. And after about sort of 3, 4, 5 months, it then started to gel. And then, 6 months later, we're here and it's done. Yeah.
And I think it kind of repositioned who we all were.
Yeah, agreed.
I kind of took a little bit more of a step side and became kind of more of an advisory role and kind of
That's
an
right,
overseer role. Because
yeah,
I recognised that actually,
Yeah.
when it comes to the expertise of getting a site built, I wasn't going to step on that.
Yeah.
And I kind of recognised that actually my role moved from being the person that was making all the demos and right at the beginning, when we were first talking, suddenly my job moved into your realm, and I was kind of an additional conceptual challenger. And actually, we had far better people now working out which button goes where, what color should it be, how big should it be. What advice would you give? Because during this time, we've seen loads of other platforms and things be introduced into the sector and then disappear. It was one of the reasons why we had our initial entries.
We did.
Everyone's flooding the market, certainly kind of during and just after COVID.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to individuals that are interested in the tech space and in the care sector and who want to create something valuable and want to create something successful?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, we were fortunate enough to be mentors for the Care Innovation Challenge 2023, which was really interesting and some amazing new talent coming up there. And actually, what I found myself talking to the sort of new startups coming through was simply to say, make sure you understand the unmet needs of that customer. Because I think the fun bit is making a solution. Go out, building the website. Woo, it's going to be amazing. And then sell it. Oh yeah, selling it should be fine.
Yeah, because it'll be so great. Of course, it makes sense to me. Of course, everyone else will get it.
Yeah, and it's like, and if you're finding it a bit hard to sell, maybe you need to revisit the assumption. Do you truly understand the unmet needs of the customer? And do they have the means to pay for it? And do they want to? So if you're clear on those assumptions that your product is fit for purpose, there is a market, and there's people who will pay for it, then with a bit of luck, some good timing, a great team, you may have a chance to win.